Hi, this is Tom and welcome to this week's Thrive in 5. This week I'm going to dig into a topic that has been one of a lot of study over the years, and this is not my stuff. This is just trying to share with you something I learned from the man, Robert Cialdini. Robert Cialdini is a social psychologist, and he wrote a book called Influence. And Influence talks about how we persuade people. And I want to tell you this because this is something, if you're in sales, if you're in marketing, if you're in situations that you're trying to influence and persuade someone to say yes, to move forward with a project, these are the 6 major factors that Cialdini discovered in the work he did, an excessive work he did trying to figure out what helped to persuade people. And so it's important that by sharing this, if you've never read Cialdini's book, that you understand that this can be used for good or evil, but it would be my preference that you use it for good. And so let me explain these 6 major factors that Cialdini discovered. And once you understand them, you can use them to your benefit. You can use them to understand how marketing and others might be using these to persuade you, and to just understand in general ways to improve or enhance what you're already doing in your marketing or selling or in your personal relationships. So the 6 major factors, I'm going to go through them quickly. You can dig into this further by buying Robert Cialdini's book, and I think if you're in any kind of sales, marketing, persuasion, management, it'd be crazy not to read Cialdini. So here they are. First one is reciprocity, and the whole concept here is people feel an obligation to repay something that's been given them. So that obligation to repay is used in a persuasion method that someone will give you something. It could be a small thing. I think about an automotive dealer who often gives you a ride in their car. Now that's pretty overdone at this point, but a test drive is a way to create a reciprocity effect. You'll see it in taste tests. You go to Costco and you'll see them giving out food. What's the intent of giving out food? That by getting that sample that you'll be more likely to buy. You sometimes see this at shopping centers in the food court, people giving out food. Again, the whole intent is if I give you a little taste, you're more likely to buy. But what you're keying off of there is this whole factor of reciprocity. The next item is consistency and commitments. And what this relates to is this whole sense that we have as humans that we want to be perceived as consistent. In fact, we appreciate consistency in ourselves and in others. And thus what happens is once we make a commitment towards something, it's a whole lot easier to get to the next commitment. So a small yes today means the possibility of a bigger yes tomorrow as it relates to a commitment we make. So where you might actually see this, and this is sometimes used in a contracting culture, they'll often, a seller will often get you to sign a non-disclosure agreement. By signing a non-disclosure agreement, you actually haven't gone, there's no selling document, but the act of signing a non-disclosure agreement is an act of commitment, and that act of commitment moves you forward. Social proof, the next one, is significant because we as human beings don't want to be the only one doing something. So the question we're often asking is anyone else doing this? Is anyone else involved in this? Because we don't want to be the only ones doing it. And this becomes incredibly important in the whole context of uncertainty. So when there's something that's creating uncertainty, we want to know others are doing it. When we're similar to other people. So how you use this in persuasion is actually make sure you have social proof, make sure you have testimonials, make sure you have people who have influence who are already using what it is you do. And testimonials can be a great way to do this. Referrals are a very obvious way to make this happen. So somebody's already got influence is referring to you. That's a social proof system. Liking, we tend to be persuaded by those we know, like, and trust. And so it's important that we do everything in our power to ensure that the people we're trying to persuade actually like us. So that's the whole context of liking. Authority, we tend to respond better to authority figures and experts than we do to someone who is not. So if we believe someone's smarter, more intelligent, more researched, more some kind of context education that has given them a special PhD or something like that, there's often a willingness to follow those people. So from your perspective, if you want to influence, there has to be an improvement in your perception as being an expert or an authority. And then finally, and this one's really big, in many cases, is scarcity. When there is less availability, there is a higher willingness on our part to think it's valuable. And that availability, if there's competition for that scarcity, the value even goes higher. So in terms of influencing someone, if you understand these 6 critical factors that Robert Cialdini laid out, you can actually leverage them to influence and persuade people, and by doing so, have great success. I hope that helps. We'll talk to you soon.